Thanks for being here, guys. Hope all is well. Hope everyone's doing amazing. And I was looking up the population of the town I grew up in literally yesterday. And when I was growing up, it had 6,240 people. That's the population of the small town I grew up in Oregon. I had no dreams of making $1 million. As a matter of fact, it was so far-fetched that I would have bet money that I was never going to hit that, right? The median income in that area, I believe, was $29,000 in my hometown. And I was the kid that everyone else's parents would say, don't hang out with him, right? So I never expected to make even six figures, but something changed along the way. And I've been thinking about this the past couple months, how did I go from working construction to valeting cars, selling things on eBay, to reaching millions of people online, building a brand that has scaled to 8 figures and became a best-selling author of 6 months to 6 figures and sold over 400,000 copies, to someone that shared the stage with people like Gary Vaynerchuk and Eric Thomas and Scooter Braun and Mel Robbins and Brendan Burchard and Les Brown and all these people. It wasn't from studying stuff online. It wasn't from working extremely hard until I passed out, or it wasn't from just going to business school, which I did go to, but dropped out. I transferred high schools my senior year, dropped out of college senior year, we completely broke at 22. I didn't even have enough money to go to the drive-through, right? And there's a few things I did to make it possible to reach the 7 and 8 figure mark. I'll tell you about those in a second, but I wanna share a quick story. When I was 15, 16, I was doing construction with my dad, a lot of hard labor, which I didn't like. I don't know what I didn't like about it. I just didn't like hard labor. Still don't. Everyone that knows me knows that. And I had found eBay. So I loved Jordan shoes. So I put a pair of shoes online that I had, and I was trying to sell them. And I remember one day I told my dad I couldn't work and I couldn't do any hard labor today. I had other stuff going on. He knew, obviously, I didn't want to work. But anyways, I checked my shoes that I had sold a week earlier on eBay, and I had made $91. And my friend had worked 8 hours that day. I think it was $6 or $7 an hour. So he had made around $60. So I'm 15 years old, and I realized I just made 90 something dollars just by putting something online. And he had made 60 working 8 hours, sweating, tired, and doing a lot of hard labor. So I was super confused at the time. That was a breakthrough for me because I realized that something was going on. How did I make 90 and he made 60 and I worked less? So my mind was confused, but I realized later I got paid for the courage to kind of think differently and the courage to take risks, right? Fast forward, I got more normal average jobs because everyone around me said that I was supposed to work an average job, right? And I want to share some of these things that made it possible to go from the small town to reaching millions. But this was a story that kind of transpired that. And by the way, if you're just joining me, thanks for tuning in. I got some exciting stuff I want to share and just diving into some of the untold truths about how to reach that 7-figure mark in business. If you can comment where you're watching from, I'd love to hear. And also, we're giving away an Achieving Autonomy journal. These aren't out yet, but I'm going to give away a copy. It's the all-in-one time management journal. If you share this feed, and then if you comment below where you're watching from. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys. So fast forward, I had found sales, and it was the first job that made me realize that I was paid off my value, off my discipline, off what I could bring, off the time I put in, because all the jobs before that were just paid what they thought I was worth. And whether I went extra mile, whether I showed up early, went to left late, I got paid the same. So it was a huge breakthrough. And when I finally got into sales, I got a mentor and I finally hit 6 figures. Looking back and really studying and thinking about how I did that, it was just pure hustle. And I didn't fully even believe that I could hit 6 figures till after I hit it. So a myth that I learned is you don't fully have to believe that you're gonna hit certain levels. If you would have told me I was gonna hit 6 figures being from a small town, I would have said you're crazy. millionaire wasn't even in the radar, right? Because most people didn't think like that, nor was there any millionaires around me. So people always say you have to believe. I didn't believe in myself till I got to six figures. Then I started realizing, okay, maybe this is possible. And then I was slowly getting around seven-figure earners and a mentor that was making seven figures. And that's how I reached it. But it's never been more possible in the new economy to get to the next level, whether it's seven figures for you, whether it's six figures, whether it's eight figures, if you have the right network, the right guidance, and the right mentorship. It's nearly impossible, I've realized, if you have the wrong network, if you try and do it all yourself, and if you don't invest in yourself or have mentorship. So I want to share the three reasons why I feel 97% of society, not why I feel, this isn't the number I came up with. If you look up right now, there's roughly 11.8 million millionaires in America, making up around 3% of the population. This is as of end of 2018. But anyways, I was in the ultrasound and it's like magical seeing my kid moving, and it's just magical. And then thinking about fast forwarding, I've been obsessed and studying so much about success and what's working now in entrepreneurship and why some people don't succeed, why some people do, happiness, all these things. And it really is 3 to 5% of society are living their dreams and they're happy and fulfilled. 95%, 97 aren't. And I'm looking at my kid, like what happens between when they're like born and when they're 20, 30, they're like excited and creative, young human beings, and they become frustrated adults. And I'm like, what happens in between that, right? I believe this is the greatest time in human history. If you know some of these habits I'm going to talk about, more wealth being created than ever before. Over 600 new millionaires are created every single year. The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And there's not a shortage of money. I want to talk about this. There's only a shortage of people willing to change, willing to understand how to become more valuable, right? And when the economy doesn't do well, the money doesn't transfer. It just goes to the successful people that know how to not just attract it, but know how to become more value and add value to the marketplace. So creating financial freedom should be a goal for everybody, right? Here's the craziest, the craziest thing about the new economy is I was talking to a 17-year-old a couple weeks ago who runs a pretty big online account, a couple Instagram accounts. He's making $35K a month. My guy who I just interviewed is just turned 21. He just bought his mom a house and a new car. He's getting paid $750,000 for one business deal, and he just turned 21. 1,700 new millionaires are created every single day. Like, think about that. That's why I want to preface this before I dive into why, in my 15 years of experience, why most people never reach that seven-figure mark. This isn't just about money. It's about interrupting the belief systems that you currently have and propelling you towards financial freedom and real wealth. I've been thinking about this all yesterday and a couple weeks ago. I was just thinking about what really does hold most people back. I want to share this with people. And I don't mean like old school millionaires, which is great, but I mean the new age world-class millionaires who have their values intact. So I'm only studying the millionaires that really have world-class values, right? That have a harmony in their life, not just making millions, but they don't have a family, that they don't have kids that know who they are, all kinds of stuff, right? I'm focusing on the new age millionaires because everything has changed. What it took to succeed 5 or 10 years ago doesn't work anymore. And I know 17 to 18-year-olds making 6 to 7 figures, and I know broke 40-year-olds that are struggling. So it's not about age anymore. People always say, I have 30 years of experience. No, you don't. You have 1 year repeated 30 times. If you're not growing and investing in yourself and innovating and challenging yourself, you're doing the same thing you've been doing, right? So keep that in mind. What's up, guys? I see some of you guys that I recognize. Go ahead and post where you're watching from. I'd love to see where you're watching from. So here's the deal. 6 figures is different than 7, and you won't get the 7 doing more of what got you 6 figures. Most people are still thinking like the bracket that they're at. They're thinking if they're making 6 figures, they're thinking like a 6-figure earner. Making 7 is a different way of thinking and acting. Most people are thinking like six-figure earners, but expecting to become seven-figure earners. If you want to become a seven-figure earner, if you want to be a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur, CEO, you have to start thinking, acting, and making decisions like a seven-figure entrepreneur, right? So during my journey of becoming financially free, the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys, I could have a whole Facebook Live on my struggles. I'm not going to talk about that and bore you guys, but I've definitely been through it, and being dead broke, hustling 100 hours a week, thinking that it was all about hard work is what caused me to go broke. So I know for a fact it's not just about hard work. A lot of you guys work extremely hard, right? It's not just about that. But during my struggles and during my obsession and during my relentless study of interviewing hundreds of entrepreneurs and the conversations I've had, a couple trends have become very clear to me. Okay, before you set a plan to become wealthy, you have to understand why most struggle, right? That's the first thing. So here's a couple things that I feel like need to be understood and comprehended. First, the traditional ways of becoming wealthy are becoming extinct, and you no longer have to wait till you're 60 or 65 or 70 to become wealthy anymore. Most of our society, including myself, wasn't taught how money works or how to build real wealth. How I was taught was through Rich Dad Poor Dad was my first introduction to how money actually works and how to become financially independent and financially stable. You guys read that book? I'm curious. Who's read? What's up, Amanda? What's up, Jesse, Mikey, Paul, Lady Tribe? What's up, Wes? Good to see you guys. So what was your first, have you guys read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad? Curious. It's a huge eye opener for me. That was something that really changed the game for me. But that's the second thing you have to understand. Most of our society wasn't taught how money works or how to build real wealth. And if you don't respect and value money, it's nearly impossible to become wealthy. You don't become a millionaire by accident, right? Being a millionaire is super rare, as we talked about, 3%. How is there the most opportunity? The internet's opened up a whole different ballgame of creating your ideal business, working online, reaching more people, but yet more people are struggling and frustrated than ever. Where is that disconnect? Well, it's people's belief around what they think is possible and around money. Many work their whole lives and never reach that status. My beliefs around money growing up, and my most common ones I heard were, I don't care about money. Millionaires aren't happy. I don't need that much money. Rich people are greedy. And I'm sure you could think of 30 other validations, right? What was your belief? Think about what your belief was growing up around money. Now, we have some successful people on this. You guys watching are probably the cream of the crop already. But what was your belief around money growing up? What's the most common belief? I'm curious. I grew up in a small town, so maybe it was just different for me. But what was your belief that you were taught or that you heard around money? I'd love to hear that. I'm just curious. What was like the most common belief around becoming rich, right? Sounds weird for a lot of people, rich. But what was your belief? I'm curious. Go ahead and comment below. Yeah, a lot of you guys have read it. Love it. Huge. Yeah, get some likes. If you're getting value and enjoying this, hit the like button. I love seeing those little likes. Thanks, guys. So what are some common beliefs that you guys were taught or heard or adapted or had to get rid of money-wise? It's not how much you make, it's how much you save. I heard that one. That's huge. So I'm gonna let these keep coming, but I'd love to hear that. So here's the 3 biggest reasons. From everything I've discovered and read and all the people I've interviewed and all the people I've really sat down and talked to, this is, I feel, the 3 biggest reasons why most, including entrepreneurs, don't reach 7 figures. And I'm not talking about 7 figures where you're working 100 hours a week. I'm talking about a lifestyle you're proud of. 7 figures is coming in. You're working hard, but you have systems in place. You have a lifestyle you're proud of. If you're doing $100 million in business, but you don't have a lifestyle you're proud of, one that allows you flexibility, autonomy, and freedom, you did it all wrong, right? So the first thing that held people back, I'm excited to get to this, is Superman syndrome. Okay, Superman syndrome. Now, what I mean by that is 6-figure entrepreneurs are terrible delegators. Most entrepreneurs are, right? You should be asking, how the tasks are related to your strengths. Okay, you shouldn't be asking how or what, you should be asking who I can delegate this, who can help me cut my learning curve in half. All millionaires I've been around have a few unique abilities they focus on, and they get an amazing team around them that love doing what they're weak at. They have a team that if there's something they would never want to do, editing, being in front of people, sales, networking, if there's something that they would rather do everything except that, they find someone that would rather do anything than what you hate, right? They'd rather do the things that you love or things that you hate more than anything else. So they find a team of people that enjoy doing what you're not good at. If somebody can do something 80% as good as you, it's time to delegate. Think about what things you shouldn't be doing, can't be doing, or don't want to do, and start delegating those things. So I made a list a while back, and this is something I learned in a mastermind I was a part of. And one of the big breakthroughs I've had is the power of networking and the power of being around the right people, right? You don't have to have the answer if you have the right network. So I realized that there's things that maintain your business and there's things that produce growth in your business. That's really it. As the CEO, as an entrepreneur, it's nearly impossible to get past the 7-figure mark, right? If you're doing things that just maintain. If you're only doing things that maintain, you just have a high-paying job, right? You just have a high-paying job, which is very, very challenging because it just gets harder and worse, and you're not going to be able to have a lifestyle that allows you to travel and do what you want. So everything, make a list of things that maintain your business, make a list of things that produce growth. Everything that maintains should be delegated, systemized, and put into rituals of other people. Now, if you love doing something that maintains, that's okay. Just don't spend too much time on it because it's just keeping the business afloat versus producing growth, right? You should be doing things that produce big growth that are mixed with your strengths. Okay, that's the first thing. People are Superman. They try to do everything on their own, and in turn, they become burnout. And here's what happens if you're Superman. Not only do you get burnout, you start to resent the things that you used to love doing because you're doing so much, right? I used to start my day and have a to-do list of 4 or 5 or 6 things. When I only got 3 things done, I'd be overwhelmed. I would cross things off my to-do list. The next day I'd add more, and it was never ending. It just kept growing and growing. One of the biggest keys to productivity is simplifying and just committing to 1 to 3 things a day. If you have more than 3 priorities, you have none, right? So making a list of like 1 to 3 things you're going to get done and just getting those things done. I think what's more important to successful people that I've realized, what's more important than a to-do list is a not to-do list. What do you need to say no to that's not connected to your ideal outcome and your vision? What do you need to say no to that's not focused on your business goals or your life and business vision, right? Huge, huge key. You guys getting it? We'll do some Q&A at the end too. That's the first thing, Superman syndrome. It holds people back because becoming an entrepreneur and getting the 6 figures is pure grit and hustle. But it's not pure grit and hustle to get the 7. It's strategy, intelligence, team building, and thinking different. Next thing is most people just think it's about hard work. You won't get the 7 figures doing more of what got you 6. It's a whole different way of thinking. It's not about working harder or smarter. It's about working right and streamlining your systems, finding the right people, over-delivering to your customers, reaching more people, right? Scaling at a higher level. So just understand, I thought it was about hard work. So when I was working in sales and I was trying to build a sales team, I worked 50, 60 hours a week, and I would go to society, people around me, people in my hometown, and ask for advice, which is step 1. Don't ask society for advice. It's usually wrong. But their number 1 piece of advice was just work harder. That was always their advice. Just hustle, work harder, right? So I would go from 50 to 60 hours. Then I'd go from 60 to 70, 70 to 80, and then 80 plus, right? So I was like, okay, I'm working 80 plus hours. I'm making no money and I'm broke. It's definitely not about hard work. It's about what you're putting in those hours. Sometimes you have to tell yourself, like I did, I will be disciplined instead of working all the time. I will be disciplined instead of working all the time was a huge game changer for me, right? So it's almost adopting minimalism and shifting from complexity to simplicity, picking 1 to 3 things you want to get done, and then making sure that you focus purely on those. Another thing that I've noticed is, and this goes along with thinking it's just about hard work. If you right now think getting the 7 figures is just about hard work, you won't get there. And I want to help people get there because it's not about the money, it's about the freedom and fulfillment and lifestyle you can create. And then once you feel like you're good, it's important to give back, right? Reach back and help other people. But making sure that you shift from complexity to simplicity and get rid of all the noise in your head, and make sure you understand it's not about the hours, it's about what you're putting in those hours, right? That's the second thing. Third thing is where you're putting your money when you're making it, right? Where you're putting your money when you're making it. I think most people, we're obsessed with saving. People just save to save. We were taught at an early age to save. I didn't even hear about the importance of investing till I was like past 20. So I go to 16, 17 years of school. I'm in college. I hear nothing about investing. How do I not hear anything about how to make money work for me in a normal school where I'm paying money and then I'm going to a $40,000 college? How is that even possible? I went to business school and didn't learn. Business school and did not learn about how to make money work for you. I had to read a $9 book, right? It's just mind-boggling to me. I didn't hear about the importance. Saving doesn't make you more money. It does not compound, and it only maintains your lifestyle at best. Saving without investing is like an old adage that we have to kill, and it needs to be updated so it's relevant to what's working now. Money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. Our society is so obsessed with saving, but I realize it's a fear-based tactic. Investing makes you more money. Saving doesn't. So I was saving, but nothing was happening. Yeah, I was saving for when I'm 60 and 70. Then what, right? I'd rather invest to make more so I can have money while I'm younger, so I can continue to compound and build and invest money to make more money, right? So there's a couple things that I've realized that successful people invest in. And this is probably 6 or 7 years of interviews and conversations and research and deep dive. And whether it's reading Tony Robbins' money book and reading 15 or 20 different books on investing and the Millionaire Mind. I have a lot of books behind me. A lot of those are investing books. One of them was the Millionaire Mind that I just was going through again these last couple weeks. But here's really the 4 things success people invest in. And Warren Buffett says reinvesting your profits is the best way to build wealth. He doesn't say saving your profits. He said reinvesting, right? So number 1, there's 4 things millionaires invest in that I'm willing to bet 97 out of 100 people in society don't invest in this, right? They invest in material things that maybe make up for insecurities, make them look better, or they save, but they don't really invest to make more, right? This is huge breakthroughs that I've had. What's up, guys? Go ahead and share where you're watching from if you just got on. We are talking millionaire success habits. What's up, Mikey? Ramaya, good to see you. What's up, Julie? Game Changer. What's up, Reicher? That's a cool name, Reicher. What is your favorite book today? That's a good question. I'll answer that in a little bit. Actually, I'm reading these kid books now, the whole child brain. So now I'm switching my ski load to reading about parenting and stuff, which is crazy. I never thought I would, but also I want to know your best parenting advice for you parents out there. That'd be cool. All right, so first thing you invest in, yourself. Training, mentorship, seminars, books, anything that sharpens your perspective and cuts your learning curve in half. These are things that speed up the learning curve in the process, right? Pay for speed. A smart person learns from their mistakes, as all successful people do. But those wanting world-class results learn from other people's mistakes so they can cut their learning curve in half and not waste as much time making the same ones, right? So Forbes had an article a while back about how 10% of people invest in their minds and invest in getting better after schooling's done, right? 10%. So most people, when they're done, they never learn another thing ever again. Everything's conditioned thoughts based on other people, based on news, based on expectations, based on who they're around. And it's crazy to me, right? So only 10% of people invest back in themselves. Like, things to think about. Make sure you're investing in things that are proven, relevant, and congruent to your vision. Make sure the person teaching is practicing what they preach, and make sure you've taken action on the previous information before you keep studying, right? So mastery versus overload is a real deal. Don't just study for the sake of studying. Study things that you know are relevant to your 6-month vision or your year vision or your 5-year vision, and ignore everything else. There's this grass is greener mentality with especially millennials. I'm a millennial and I love helping millennials. I love helping all ages. I don't discriminate. But people are so obsessed with learning now, they'll read a book and then instead of executing what they've learned, they trick themselves to think, I need to learn more and read more. Then they just keep studying and reading and they get overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, you seek distraction subconsciously. So that's why it's important to execute what you learn and don't move on till you've seen some results. I challenge people to get addicted to outcomes and results, not information and knowledge. Number 1, invest in yourself. Number 2, invest back in your business. The first thing comes to mind when you think of like reinvestment is like a financial investment, but redirecting a portion of profits into your business can help establish your business for long-term success. So of course, it depends on a lot of variables, but it could be marketing, advertising, branding, personnel, team building, actually hiring an assistant. They invest back in their business. A lot of entrepreneurs I know at the higher level mark. And this was a conversation I had with one of my mentors, Jordan Weirs, years ago. We were talking about making the leap from low 6 figures to $500,000. And he's like, you should be investing a certain amount back in your business. And I was still at that time, I was still in like save mode because I had went broke, and the feeling you have when you're broke of not having choices and not having control and not being able to go to a restaurant and buy food, it shouldn't be, but it's embarrassing. And I'll never want to experience that feeling ever again. So I was like in a scurry, like save mode. Every dollar I made, I was saving. He's like, you're never going to get to 7 figures or even $500,000 that way, ever. You got to invest and get rid of the fear and focus on abundance, not scarcity. So it was a major breakthrough for me. So we talked about it, and I realized after studying that most people invest, or most entrepreneurs that are successful invest back in their business after they invest back in themselves, right? Time is money. So don't underestimate the value of your time. Spending a small percentage of your profits can free you up significantly, depending on where you're investing it. Third thing is, once they make money from their business, they invest in assets that make their money work for them. People who are financially successful are actively involved with their money, and they understand what their assets are doing. This could be angel investing, membership sites, investing in young entrepreneurs. It can be real estate, multifamily, residential, duplexes. It could be art, classic cars, anything that's proven to appreciate over time, right? One of my favorites is real estate. We purchased a couple properties already this year. We just purchased one in Tulum, which is amazing, in Mexico. We have a couple other duplexes, but I'm investing a lot of my money back into real estate because we don't really have 401ks as entrepreneurs, right? So that's kind of a game changer. So you got to invest in things that make your money work for you. Most don't. Now, fourth thing. So invest in yourself to cut your learning curve in half. Invest back in your business to grow it, to scale it, to market it. Third is investing in assets that make your money work for you. And the fourth is memorable experiences. Maximizing memorable experiences. Not beforehand. This is in order. So if someone invests in experiences without making money, you're going to escape reality and know you don't want to go back to your job or your work, and you know you just spent money you shouldn't have spent. It's a like confusing way to live, right? You want to create a lifestyle you don't need to escape from, and you're excited. And I don't want to say every day's vacation because the grind is hard, but you want to take trips when you feel like you deserve it. So the fourth thing is maximizing memorable experiences, investing in things that give them memories. Imagine taking your family on an all expense paid trip to Fiji or to Hawaii or to somewhere that you've been wanting to go, right? Imagine that. It's going to give you a whole different fulfillment and level of motivation to come back, continue investing in yourself and your mind and your assets to continue to grow. So that's the fourth thing they invest in a row, right? So figure out where you're at. There's the grind stage where you're just hustling and you're really trying to figure it out and trying to figure out your vehicle and trying to get to 6 figures and then eventually 7. But then you got to put the money back in the business so it makes more money. And how you do that is by getting around people that have already done it. So one of the other big breakthroughs I've had is not needing to know the answer. I used to bang my head against the wall like every day because I couldn't figure out what the next step was in my business. When I started elevating my network and getting around higher level people, I started realizing I'm just a phone call away. Let me show you pic of my kid. Well, he's not there yet, but here he is. Sorry, I'm sidetracked. I'm just one phone call away from my network, from someone who has the answer. That's a big breakthrough. Stop trying to do everything yourself and stop trying to figure things out on your own like you're a genius. Everyone has genius in them. But I'm saying you shouldn't be focusing on anything that you know you don't have great experience in. Call someone else, figure it out. Network is the game changer, right? Once I realized that, my whole life changed because I didn't need to figure everything out on my own, right? So those are the 3 reasons why most will never reach 7 figures. And based on the stats, there's 30, 40 people watching, maybe 12. I don't know how many people will reach, maybe 5 to 10 of you guys will reach 7 figures based on these averages, right? Maybe 2, I don't know. But here's the reality. Here's why people do reach. So I talked about why people don't. Here's why people do reach. Networking. Real wealth starts with relationships and networking and building high quality, valuable relationships. Start getting around higher level people today. If you want to be a millionaire, talk to billionaires, you'll get there quicker, right? Next, understanding the value and impact drive income. The more valuable you become, the more irreplaceable you become by protecting your time, by investing in yourself, by getting rid of toxic people who don't make you feel exceptional, by solving problems people care about, you will become more valuable, right? Figure out a strong skill that you have, mix it with a passion, and solve a problem people care about. That's a winning combination in the new economy. And the third thing is, how quickly can you adapt and adjust and execute things you learn? The biggest thing I've seen is the speed of implementation of how fast someone can execute. How fast after this live feed, whether you're watching the replay, by the way, I appreciate everyone that's commented, liked, and shared. It means a lot. My whole goal is to educate and inspire people while building real companies, but I love giving back. I get more fulfillment from inspiring people and someone saying, you changed my life, than just making another $1 million, right? And I'm fully aware that when I get to the end of my life, I'm not gonna wish I had more transactions. I'm gonna wish I had a world-class lifestyle I was proud of and built a legacy for my family and the people that are after me. So I fully am aware of that, right? And I was speaking in Mexico a couple weeks ago, and one of the speakers was extremely wealthy. And he was telling me he has 2 boys and the wife makes sure he's home by 6 or 7. He takes them to school. But he said, my kid could care less if I make another $100 million. He just wants me to play with him, right? So I'm getting all these philosophies and getting rid of ones that don't serve me and adding the ones that I feel are world-class, that are internally connected to who I am, right? Don't even know where I was going with that. But how quickly can you adapt and adjust, right? That's a huge key. You don't need to have the answer. People around you do. You don't need to fully believe in yourself, but you need to act and look at your goals and take action daily like you do until your belief catches up. And you need to get around people who believe in you, right? And also, you don't need to work 100 hours a week. There's people online promoting hustle, hustle, grind, hustle, gotta work your face off. No, you don't. If you're in your sacrifice stage, you should work hard. Trust me, I work hard. And when I was in my early 20s, I was grinding, I was working weekends. So there is sacrifice, but you don't need to work 100 hours every week to become a millionaire. If you work right at the beginning, your lifestyle will form eventually with the right systems and the right team. So I'm excited to do a couple Q&A with you guys. And if you only make more money, here's something that I learned. If you only make more money when you work more hours, you just have a high paying job and you're going to eventually experience burnout, and it'll become harder and harder to create real autonomy. So that's why systems are important, and that's why understanding these tips and why people won't reach it and the reasons they do are so important. So that's all I got. I got a couple more minutes to do some Q&A. Oh, and by the way, if you're looking to get around like elite entrepreneurs and increase your network, we just opened our inner circle. It's called the Game Changer Inner Circle. We open it once a year, giving you the connections, guidance, and hands-on coaching you need to kind of grow the business. Not really a pitch or whatever, but you could go to gcinnercircle.com if you're interested. It's not for most people. I'll put the link up, but it just opened today, which is cool. Haven't even really started promoting it yet. So you guys that want to level up your network and elevate your circle of influence, might be for you. gcinnercircle.com. So let's do some Q&A. I'm looking at some of you guys. Mandy, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was just there last week. I love Louisiana. I was in the bayou on the river in Lake Charles. It was amazing. Peter, Ramaya says, Peter, just teach your kid what you teach us. They will be game changers. I appreciate that, man. Greensboro, NC. More info. You can get all the info you want about the inner circle at gcinnercircle.com. I believe. Let me make sure. gcinnercircle.com/mastermind. Try that one too. I'll put the link up. So any questions you guys have, anything that I shared that you need clarification on, things that you are wondering, things that you want to know about, because I've definitely been obsessed with this topic the last couple of years, and it helped me actually get to 7 and 8 figures. And I'm so proud when I write down in my journal what I'm grateful for. It's of course family, it's autonomy, it's the relationships I built, but then it's building a business the right way on my terms, where I'm not tied to a desk. Yes, I'm at my desk here in my home office, but I travel all the time. I'm able to work from anywhere. And I don't say that to brag, it's just something I'm proud of, that you can do that in the new economy where it wasn't possible 15, 20 years ago. Right? And it's become more possible than ever if you have the right network and the right guidance. I started building my sales team and have a few appointment setters on board. What resource would you recommend for cold calling or scripts? Well, so Ramaya, we could talk about this separately. Resources as far as cold calling, my team manages that. So we just use Google Docs or Google Excel sheets. And then we have the scripts that have been working. The biggest thing is giving them examples of different types of callers, giving them all the objections, and then giving them the outcomes of what they're looking to accomplish, and then making sure they kind of use their own twist and spin on it. So I have a script that I've perfected the last 7 or 8 years, sales scripts. So they have a lot of videos. Anyone that comes on our team that's doing calls, they have all the videos of me doing calls. They have videos of my team doing calls, different people based on their personality. So you want them to have scripts and know the outcomes, know all the objections, get that memorized, but also see different styles of building rapport, of building value, of calling, of sales, right? So have a document, blueprint where there's video scripts, and then do the thing I taught you earlier. Give them expectations of exactly what to expect. How many calls should they be making? How many should they be closing? Give them accountability so you know the stats, and then give them feedback on how to get better. Good question. Jackson, Mississippi, a lot of Southerners. Love it. I love the South. I am quite shy in talking to people. I fear whether if I could him piss. You got to rephrase that question. It's a little, I couldn't understand it. How much savings do you believe is enough for safety before investing? It really depends on who you are, what your spending habits are, what you're making and saving per month, and then what location you're in. So like in LA, it's different than Louisiana, which is LA, which is funny. But Louisiana, I was talking to some people there, and you can get like a 5-bedroom, 4-bath for like $350. You can't even get them a 1-bedroom for less than like $750 in LA. So it just depends on where you're at. I would probably have 6 months of like all your bills taken care of. I think that would be accurate, but I'm not an expert at like how much to save. I just know that I'd rather invest the money and make more than let that just sit there, right? Because the inflation is 3%. Most people aren't even giving, if it just sits in a bank, you're losing money, right? Unless you find a mutual fund, you find real estate that's making 8 to 10 or 12%, right? So the best thing I could say is just study, get around people who have invested and who know what to do. PT, what are some of the biggest lessons you learned along the way? I kind of just shared them. I think one of the biggest failures I had is trying to do everything myself. I thought I had to get good at copy and editing and creating videos and networking and building the website. And I always was banging my head against the wall trying to figure everything out. When I finally realized that there's someone else that has the answer that would be willing to help me, I just got to reach out to them. That was a big one. Also, I think comparison was a huge downfall. I think comparison is the ultimate misery. So if I compare myself to people, if I'm like, hey, he's my age, he's making more money, hey, he's already done that, it's just like the worst way to live. So as I was growing my business, I was comparing myself to all these different businesses, and it was causing me to live incongruently and be stressed out. That's a big lesson. So I only connected with people that I felt like were similar to me. So here's an example, really good question. A lot of people follow anyone online. They have no criteria for who they follow, for what they take on, or for who they study and learn from. So you need to know your values and what's most important to you in life and business in order. Like, what are your ideal values? Is family first, then flexibility, then financial freedom, then adventure, then peace of mind? I don't know. But if your number one value is family and flexibility, but you're studying someone that's working 100 hours a week, there's people right now, and you guys see them, they're like hustle, grind, hustle. They have big media companies. They're working 100 hours a week. We don't know what their kids or wife looks like. Their kids don't know who they are, and they're promoting hustle and grind all day long. If you're watching that person, but you value flexibility and freedom, you're living incongruently and your brain's gonna be confused. I wanna be 40 and 50 years old and be able to go to my kid's baseball games and coach his basketball team whenever I want. So I'm not gonna follow people online that are 65, 50, 60, 70, promoting hustle grind all day, every day. Not my style. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm just not gonna follow them. It's irrelevant. Another big lesson, right? And lastly, I think it's just only taking things on that I'm fully sold on, that are fully congruent to my values, that there's an upside to what I'm doing. So selling yourself before you take anything on is a huge, huge game changer. People just say yes to too many things. So here's an example. My values when I was broke was financial freedom because I had no money. So most people that don't have the money they want, their value is money because they need to make money for their family. And I fully get that. It's shifted now, right? My number one value is definitely not financial freedom, right? I'm doing this for free because I love giving value and sharing what I know because I don't want it just to keep it inside of me. I've turned down $10,000 speeches, and I've given free speeches to inner city kids in LA. I've done some in New Jersey with my friend Gerard Adams. So I know value is not, money is not number one. Now it's more of peace of mind. So if something comes across my desk, so you take your top values, when something comes across your desk and you say, okay, is this going to contribute to my freedom, or is this going to contaminate my freedom? If it contaminates my freedom, I say no. Now, if money was number one, I'd say, is this going to add to my net worth and money and financial freedom, or is it going to take it away? Right? So it depends on what's most important to you. Those are some of the biggest lessons. I work for direct sales and I also want to build mastermind classes. Do you think it would hurt or benefit to build mastermind classes while moving up direct? Good question. I would, you can do both. You can time block. It's just being as efficient and effective with your time as possible. But here's what I'll tell you. The best thing you can do for your masterminds is crush it and become number one in direct sales. So I felt like I was in direct sales, and it wasn't where I was selling a product and I had a physical office space of 3,000 square foot. I had 15, 16 employees. I had receptionists. I had a campus relations manager, an assistant manager, an executive assistant. So I had an actual physical office. I was training people in the office. And I promised myself I wasn't going to leave that company until I feel like I was maxed out. So once I maxed it out, then I branched off and started doing other things, because wherever you are, you're still there, right? So here's an interesting story too, Amanda, but I would recommend maximizing whatever you feel like is a low-hanging fruit that will give you more credibility and respect when you run mastermind classes. But something happened in my previous company where a lot of people left. They were headhunted and most people left. The leadership at the top, super old school, weren't adapting to the new times and weren't paying attention to the A players. They were focused on creating a culture for C players, right? Whole kind of thing happened. Anyways, half the division, half the region left. Okay, interesting story. And I already had left in 2013, so this happened 2014. And interesting, the people that were crushing it at that company were crushing it at the new company. The people that were average at that company were now average at this company. And the people that were struggling and validating their mediocrity and people that had money problems at this company that were blaming the company now had money problems at the new company, right? So people have this grass is greener, like, oh, it's the company, it's the economy. Wherever you are, you're still there. So you need to become more valuable, right? It's not the company, you need to become more valuable. So that's what I realize is wherever I am, I'm gonna crush it because it's me. Don't say that to brag. And even thinking about saying that being from a small town of 7,000 people is crazy, but it's because I've worked on myself, gone through so much failure and studied and got so many different results in different industries that I'm proud to say that I feel like I can go anywhere and succeed because of who I became, right? So hope that answers your question. A lot of questions coming in. Do you know of anyone that does music congruent to your mixtapes? Ooh, I don't know who does mixtapes. I got some right here. I love doing my mixtapes. So if you don't know, I do mixtapes where it's just motivational music, like behind beats. It's spoken word. It's on iTunes, Spotify if you want to check them out. But I don't know who else does that. I really don't. I think some people have tried to do it. I don't know if they're congruent to me. I've been like head down, focused on creating and building relationships with the right people. I'm not online a lot. I don't scroll on Instagram. I don't study a lot of other people. I'm very focused on knowing myself and mastering my craft. So I don't know a lot of what's going on in the industry. I study, but I don't want to get overwhelmed. And I think the more people you follow and the more people you take advice from, the more overwhelmed you become. One of my favorite pieces of advice I got a while back was from Isaac Tolpin. He said, take very, very few opinions. And that was a game changer for me. So just take few opinions and only take opinions from people that you really respect, that have similar values, that you would trade places with. That's why I don't follow people that are working 100 hours a week that never see their kids. Because when my kid is born, I want to be there for them and not have, I don't want to work because I have to, I want to work because I want to, right? Good question. I got to head out now, guys. I appreciate your time. Thanks for everyone that has shared this. Anyone that shares this and comments in this thread will get entered to win an Achieving Autonomy journal, which is a time management, productivity, all-in-one journal scheduler. It's how I map my time. It's pretty cool. I'm excited to bring this to the world, but you'll get a copy signed as well. Is delegating most of your job good for company growth? Delegating what you're not an expert at, what is not your strengths and what is not your unique genius is amazing for growth. And there's actually no other way to grow. So delegating most of your job needs to be clearly defined. It goes back to there's things that produce growth and there's things that maintain. You need to make sure your unique ability is producing growth in your business and everything else is delegated, right? So delegation is amazing. Richard Branson said his goal of his companies is always to delegate 99.9% of stuff so he could focus on the vision of the company and pushing the company forward, right? So it all depends. Thank you, Kitan, Julie. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, for hanging with me. I don't take it lightly that you spent time with me. I know time is valuable. You could have done anything else in the world and you're here learning. So much respect. Let me know if I could do anything for you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day and we'll talk soon. See ya. Hey, what's up? Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy this video and this content, make sure you hit the subscribe button below, put the notifications on, and I assure you, you'll love this content in these videos.